So I will give you a basic rundown of the game. Here's LlamaRPG.com. It's got some very generic basic stuff. This is probably your best piece. It is a single player campaign with multiplayer support. This will be for trading and PvP. In the future, I'm also looking at potentially adding some sort of like raiding with other players or just some way to party up with other players to take on some large bosses, whatever it is. It's a JRPG, and it combines the best parts of your favorite old school RPGs. Focuses on itemization, combat as well. Is going to be really interesting, but the types of epic rolls, power gain from items, trading, and other small details. Hands-on crafting system, focus on utilizing influence to sway the odds of great rolls. And you are a llama who's journeying through the world. It is going to be fun and silly, and just a good time. It's going to be a 2D 16-bit top-down style game. The combat is a 3-action turn that is kind of rock, paper, scissors, but more skillful. There will be a lot more metagame and style all used within that. 1 spell action and 2 any actions allowed for combos. You'll have an active loadout of 8 weapons and shields. So you'll be able to constantly be swapping what you're attacking, defending with as you go through. There won't be any llama passes or pay to win or anything like that. I may look at some, there won't be cosmetics that can only be obtained through purchase. I may look at some sort of cosmetics that you can purchase or just find in the game. But I'm not certain on that yet. It'll be on Steam. Should be able to be played on any device. Currently, though, it will be on Steam, and that'll just be the main place, and then look to increase it from there. No release date yet, but I'd hope to have something pretty solid out by end of 2023. Here's the story if you want more on that, and we're just doing pieces on it. So,
no shot this game comes out before 2045.
I mean, potentially we'll take a C. So, let us begin. Lord Cipher says, when you say JRPG, what are aspects of classic JRPGs that you're bringing along? I think you had mentioned multiple party members before. Is that right? So initially, it won't be, it'll be more like the individual campaign. Thank you, Thanatos. We could probably use it. But beyond that, it will be the multiplayer is going to be really more for like trading with any sort of trade, any piece like that. Potentially, everybody being able to see some sort of global shops and combat. And then in the future, potential for having like a party, you and a buddy, or you and a few people taking on a larger boss that I can introduce into the area. Other pieces, though, I really look at, it's not going to be that like 5-on-5 combat where you click this and attack that monster and this and that like that. You're really going to be your individual llama versus another individual. And the combat really is supposed to be kind of a one-on-one focus for the most part. Thank you, Lobo, by the way. And I'm really looking at, I take some inspiration from like old school Pokemon a little bit, in the way of just kind of, that's like the general, not the combat and stuff, but the general like movement and way that you exist in the world and some fun little pieces of it, I would say. There is more just, I don't know, there's really a lot of inspiration from a lot of games, from Diablo 1, Diablo 2, from just kind of things like Borderlands, from Pokemon, from Legend of Zelda, kind of really grabbing from different pieces and systems that I've enjoyed in each one and then modifying on my own. We're using Godot for it. You'll have llama classes. Yes, everybody will start as a llama, And then as you level up, you will get to skill into different classes. LlamaRPG actually has a skill calculator on it that kind of gives a breakdown of how that'll work. And this kind of takes from the idea of World of Warcraft Classic, how the skill trees worked a little bit in that capacity. Llama item types will be melee weapons, range weapons, whatever things. For the things that the llama wears, you'll have a necklace or jewelry, amulet, whatever it is, a body armor, a belt, and 2 sets of boots. Will there be some kind of base fortress to upgrade, build, or activate even further? Further possibility to craft the best of the best, or is that a no-go zone? So you will have... I'm planning on making crafting... I have a whole video on the crafting system. It's up on my YouTube. But further, the whole piece is... There'll be 2 sets of boots, not 2 sets of pants. There are no pants there. The whole piece will be... I want you to have like a crafting specialization that someone can go into, and I want it to take time to really dive into. So it'll be more of kind of go to like more old school RuneScape, whatever styles, where you're leveling up your crafting abilities, your mining abilities, all of these things. And so that there is more of that overall. All right. Will it support ray tracing? Probably not. Probably doesn't need that. Will there be any Diablo Easter eggs? I'm sure. All right, y'all are having the whole little talk in there. What will you do with the imminent Godot 4 release? Build it in Godot 4. Earrings would be awesome. It could be cute. How big is the team? Just like a few people. We just have a few people just doing a little bit of different things. Don't need to pay real money to beat the game.
Hype.
Sorry. Thank you, Murcielago. Any chance of having the combat be action-based? No. Just the way that the combat is focused to work. If I go right here, let me open up this. Here is a very detailed drawing showcasing potential for combat in the game. So this would be, for instance, a llama comes upon a cat, and this is how it would look. And I really enjoy the game being turn-based. I think that's a selling point that I actually really love about it. I don't want it to be action-based for this, because the idea here is within this combat, you're choosing action 1, 2, and spell. They're picking action 1, 2, and spell. And then kind of the actions will resolve, and then you'll get the next one. And you're playing in this way, again, where you're comboing your different actions together. You're trying to mind game what your opponent is going to be doing. And you get kind of more actions and spells within a single turn to do so. So I do think that is a really fun thing that we're going to be doing with it. How does llama use a weapon? I don't know, with its mouth right there. Does that answer it? You mentioned range and melee weapons. How will that work with the turn-based aspect? Yeah, so every character has the ability to use a ranged attack, a melee attack, a magic attack, which would be like a wand or a staff. And then obviously you get to use your spells, which are separate. And so basically you're choosing that. There's no like, I need to be a certain range or whatever it is. Again, you'll just pick, for instance, in this battle scene, the llama is doing a ranged attack, a melee attack, and then maybe like a hail spell. And this cat is doing a melee attack, a shield, and then the rain spell, whatever, right? So this is, I'm attacking twice, I'm attacking once and defending once, and then I'm using spells for those things. Let's see. Got a picture of your starting llama? I think I have a little one somewhere, actually, but I have absolutely no clue where. Let me... I think I actually might have it up here. That's that. That's that. Here's some potential llama. There will also be hats in the game. Hats will just be kind of like a passive charm that you can find. And so every time you go and complete something that's really cool, whatever it is, if you beat a cool new boss, if you find this secret area, if you win this mini game, whatever it is, you'll get a hat. And this hat might be +1 to strength. This one might be +1 attack speed, whatever it is. And you can wear a hat, but they'll act as a charm system. So wearing the hat doesn't actually matter. That's just how you want to look. But that's a general potential idea of your llamas right there. Let me get questions up. Yeah, you will be a llama. Will there be a puppy and can I pet the dog? Maybe you can go up and talk to the dog and then you can pet it. How many hours of a campaign am I planning? Currently there is starter zone, industrial zone, ice zone, fire, caves, desert, water zone, swamp zone, plant land, and 2 secret zones. So currently there's 10 zones planned. I imagine the campaign's probably like 30, 40 hours. I mean, it probably just depends how fast or slow you want to play it. I don't know exactly how long it'll take to get through all those zones. Probably a little bit less, honestly. Will there be a puppy that can ride the llama? Probably not. Maybe you can get a puppy hat, though, or something. Do you think it's okay to spend so much time on graphics this early? Sure. I mean, I think it'd be nice. I wish I had more graphics overall. This diagram is everything. Perfect. So Battlon. I don't know what Battlon is, but I have played Adventure Quest. I loved Adventure Quest growing up. This is a further, much more built out Adventure Quest, I would say, with differences. But I loved playing Adventure Quest. I did think it was fun. Again, I'm taking from all of my favorite games growing up and combining and building what I believe will be super fun. Will there be a queue for people that don't have friends on the game to PvP with other people from around the world? Yes. The PvP is going to be an MMR system where you will join essentially you'll click I want a PvP and there's like a ranked PvP and that'll pair you up with some random person around the world who is also of a similar ranking as you. And then you'll fight. Whoever wins gains that MMR. Whoever loses that MMR. And there will be a ladder overall for that. So everybody gets to try and fight their way up the ladder with it. How would one get involved in the project? In what way are you looking to get involved? You can send an email. Yeah. Does the ED or Dura hire repair? Yes. Will it support Turbo HUD and bots? I mean, I'm gonna ban botting and all that stuff. So no. I'm sure people will still bot in it, but I will try. Will there be a crypto tie-in? There will be no crypto whatsoever involved in this game. Will there be a transmog system for the hats? No. You have to get the hats. Again, once you have a hat, think of it like a passive charm. You just own that hat, you automatically get the boost to your character. Wearing the hat is just for a purely look. So whenever you put a hat on, you just get to look cool. What major decisions is a player making while playing the game? So you're making the decisions of how you're speccing out your build, obviously. how you are going about with what you sort of want to invest in and spend your time building towards. Do you want to do more grinding for items and all of this? Do you want to do more crafting? Do you want to do more PvP? Do you want to do more kind of market searching and getting rich with that stuff? Do you want to do collecting? For instance, all the hats. Collecting all the hats is like a really like big thing to go and do. That should be really difficult. I'm thinking there'll be other things that you can kind of collect and build out as well. Do you want to focus on, being the highest level and just grinding in that way? Really, I think there's a variety of pieces that you'll be deciding along with that. Otherwise, you're moving through the world and just, you're not making decisions that are going to like influence the game in like the campaign, right? It's not like if you say no to this one quest, you're now going on this whole other path. I don't have the capacity to build all of that or the desire. That's not how this game's going to be. Like I say, I've got Warren, who's the full-time dev on the game. Everybody else, there's 2 or 3 other people that are kind of just doing like, when they want to, they do a little bit of dev, things like that. If you are well versed in Godot, if you're well versed in game design and you wish to help out some, you can send me an email or a Twitch message, mrlamac@gmail.com, or just a Twitch message with, what you're looking to do. Additionally, if you are someone who can do graphics for a game, that's probably the biggest need that I have right now. Is I just need someone to build out the landscape. I have the graphics pack, so let me just grab this. So I'm currently using, I just bought this pack, and this is what the pack is going to entail. So this is how the game ultimately is going to look like. Different kind of pieces as such. But there's a couple things. Number one, plenty of pieces, like maybe that water and stuff could be made a little bit nicer. Obviously it's 16-bit, but even within 16-bit nowadays versus the old days, you can do a lot of stuff like shading and things just to make it a little bit nicer. So you could take all of this and then do a little bit more with it, and I would not complain. But additionally, and what I really would love is just level design. Just like building the world and making it look nice like this. I just don't know. I don't know what to do. I've tried building things, and it's just like, I'm like, all right, well, we've got house here, house here, house here, thing here. And it's just like, here's the bank. Here is, llama home. Here is store. Here is blacksmith. And then there's just like a path, and it just kind of goes off on each of these spots. And then here's like your exit. And then I'll just put like a tree here and a tree here or something. So all of my level design is really bad. So I would love to have somebody that would actually be able to do so, or be willing to do something like that. I do think speedrunning the game is totally a viable thing that can be done. What kind of enemies will there be? So every zone is going to have, kind of its specific types of enemies, and I'm hoping to give them, again, enough variance that different monsters will have different things. So you'll have things like yetis and seals and penguins in the ice zone. In the desert, you might have snakes and spiders and scorpions. In the caves, you'll have salamanders and all this stuff. And again, I'm really just hoping it'll just be a bunch of animals, essentially, for the most part, in all the different places. How do you check your gear in PvP in MMR? What do you mean by check your gear? I don't understand that question. Sorry. Shouldn't be nudity in the game. Can I put spam bots in so it feels more like D2? Sure, maybe I'll do that for you. Will D2JSB trade be allowed? I'm going to I'm not certain on it yet. I would like to just say no. I would love to just build in my own trade system and have that just be where the trading all happens. And hopefully build a good enough trade system that people aren't going to JSP. Again, because the problem with JSP really is you can bring in a real money option to it, and I dislike that a lot. I don't want to have any, anybody being able to excel in the game because they put money over there, or because it's also cross game. So they played crap tons of D2, they've got 100,000 forum gold, they buy the best items in LlamaRPG now, and now they can win from that. I just like that system. So I'm probably going to ban JSP personally. Can the hats visibly stack if you get more than one? No. How is this being bankrolled? Self-funded currently. And then once the game I feel like is close enough to release, I'll probably start putting out some ways to kind of like raise money. But my biggest fear is I raise money for a game, I spend all the money developing the game, paying people to develop it, graphics, all those things, and then it doesn't actually release because whatever, we run into whatever issues, blah, 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 and all of those people's money is now wasted. I don't want to do that. I want, if you're investing in the game, if you're investing in me and the project and all of that stuff, even if you're, donating to it, whatever it is, in whatever capacity, it's not for naught. So for now I'm self-funding, and then I'll kind of like just pay myself back later from that piece. How is the Steam wishlisting going? Haven't put it on Steam yet for wishlisting. How important will your gear be compared to your skill? Gear they'll both definitely play a piece. I definitely think having somewhat better gear will be an improvement, but I don't want that to be the only factor, right? Your skill will be able in some instances to beat out someone with slightly better gear for sure. How you diversify your gear, how you metagame and mind game, how you combo all of your stuff together, all of that, right? The ultimate idea is like, hey, if I have a level 90 Pokemon and you have a level 30 Pokemon, you're probably just going to get destroyed no matter what you do. But if I have a level 90 and you have a level 80, you could definitely beat my Pokemon if you have a little bit better strategy and how you're fighting your whatever pieces. Yes. Will there be elemental effects? Say fire is dot, cold reduces damage as a stand for attack speed to help build differentiation, increase replayability. Yes. There are effects for those. So there is a freeze effect. There's a dousing effect from water damage. There is a burn effect from heat damage. There's or from burn damage, I mean. There's or fire damage, whatever. So there are effects based on the different damage types, and then additionally there's ways to help try and mitigate those or increase those, whatever it is, depending. Are there any donkeys? No donkeys, I don't believe. Looks good. Ship it perfectly. As a professional level designer, this is exactly how we make game, though. No joke. Well, if you'd love to help in any capacity, I'd love it. I just feel like there's a difference between, this and this, where it's like, oh, there's a little garden with the house and the bridge and how the river runs and how the trees are placed and where the beach houses are and the trees versus this and the stairways and whatever things. I just feel like there's a lot more, and I just don't have the artistic eye for all of that. When does this come out? I'd hope to. My hope is a year from now. How long do you expect the game to take? What about endgame stuff? Hard to say right now. I think more testing will be needed to really get a sense of how long the game takes. I'd love for it to take like 20, 30 hours to get through the whole piece, but maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, depending if you want to do more of the content or just rush through it. End game pieces, I'm definitely looking at a lot of different pieces for that. Different like puzzles and or quests to go on and do, potential like large group raiding bosses that you can fight, just high level areas that you can go kind of unlock within the different areas, secret areas, and then of course PvP I want to be a big piece of the game for anybody. Yes, Lace, I think so. Um, let's see. Other questions. We're talking about LlamaRPG. How would you describe your ideal balance of character / llama power source, items versus levels? Like I said, I like having it be balanced. I think items are going to be a decent piece because a lot of this will be you utilizing your items. So for instance, this item hits for 17 to 24 fire damage. Sorry, you're not going to be doing millions or tens of thousands of damage in this game, just as a heads up. So it's like you deal 17 to 24 fire damage from this item right here. However, because you're this level with this much strength, maybe, that it's a melee attack. And so that actually ends up being, 84 to 117 fire damage, right? Something along those lines. So if you just have items, but you're not leveled, first off, you won't be able to use those items really, because those would be too high of level items anyways for you. But if you could, you would still not get enough of the benefit because your character and your level, your stats, all of your skills, all of that will play enough of a role in boosting your damage to where it really is a nice combination of those. How is plus to skills the most impactful? I'm going to aim to make plus skills not the most impactful thing you can do, definitely. Though I am considering making one of the character class styles a character that plays weaponless and just plays with all spells. And in that case, you would essentially be running just, like more plus skills gear probably, because then you would be running plus skills. And so you'd be running spells and like shields probably would be my thought. Will llamas have adjustable and meaningful stat points, strength, dex, int? Yes, I'm trying to make those as meaningful as I can. Will some items gear you find early potentially remain useful later in the game? Definitely. That's also a piece I'm really trying to aim for. You will have the ability to upgrade the power level of an item. So essentially, items run from power level 1 to 5. And when you upgrade it, it'll just increase its requirements, but it will increase the damage as well. So if you find an item that has really good affixes, let's say you find, similar to Diablo 2, but maybe old school. Let's say I found a crystal sword that had amazing affixes on it, but obviously the crystal sword damage is low. Now I can upgrade that to a dimensional blade, and then to a phase blade, and then to a phase blade +1 and a phase blade +2. Let's just pretend Diablo 2 has 5 levels of it. And just the damage will increase. All the affixes will stay the same. But the idea would be you could find an early on item that's really solid, and then that could be more useful later on. However, an item that you get at level 10 or level 15 won't have, all of the affixes unlocked, and you won't have all of the highest tier affixes unlocked. So there is a general sense that items later on will generally be better. However, if you find some item, let's say you've unlocked up to tier 4 affixes and tier 6 is the highest, but you get all max rolls on tier 4 and it's all the best affixes, whatever, that could still be an awesome item for a long time. Will you take money for equity at some point? I don't know if I'm going to ever sell equity in the game. It'll probably just be more of a fund it in a way of, you can get your name in the title or in the end credits. You can have some influence on this. I'll name an item after you, whatever sorts of things that way. So you can kind of buy in those ways. But honestly, I don't think I want to sell a bunch of equity and deal with the hassle of the financial piece of all of that. Will it be politically neutral, or will there be explicit or implicit political messages? At one, there will be a discussion about climate change within it. So yeah, I guess that will exist. For the most part, I don't even think climate change is really political. I don't think it's just a fact. So again, things that have been made political maybe are dumb to me, and I don't care. I'm not here trying to push some crazy political message, but I think a general piece of the Iceland is melting due to climate change is fine. Let's see. Can you scale attack rating such that melee damage is meaningless? There won't be attack rating. Your hits will always hit. However, there will be glancing blows, hits, and critical strikes. So essentially, there's kind of a range of how you hit depending on your accuracy versus an opponent. But at the very least, you'll always at least get a glancing blow, which has a percentage of damage. Will there be super effective and low effective attacks like we had in Pokemon? Like fire was super effective against water. There will be not really, because you're not going to have like your types like that exactly. It's more just going to be ideal. You know, I attack with heat damage and you defend heat damage, pretty straight up. The idea will kind of be there in the way of like resistances, and more so with other monsters, you'll have things like immunity. So you might have some monsters that'll be immune to fire, immune to cold damage, whatever it is. The only idea there would be, do I want it to be immune, or do I want it to be you just do a not very effective attack against said monster? I kind of like the immunity because in this game you're dealing all sorts of damage. It's not like you make a cold source who only deals cold damage. You're dealing all the different types of damage, so it makes you just have to diversify more. Will there be different levels, acts, or difficulties? Different levels for sure. I don't think there's any other difficulties or acts planned right now. Is there a GoFundMe? Like I said, later on, I'll probably do something like that once I feel better that the game is like more ready for launching. Will there be professions for crafting like in WoW? There'll be. I don't have enough knowledge of the crafting in World of Warcraft to answer that way, but I do want crafting, just kind of in general, maybe crafting to be more like you are a crafter, right? So someone who puts 50 hours into their character and leveling up their crafting ability is going to be a better crafter than someone who has put a couple of hours into it. And so the idea would be you can sell your crafting services to people and craft items for them, right? Probably won't be at the next BlizzCon to talk about it. Speedrunning options? Yeah, I'd love for people to speedrun it. How will multiplayer work on a turn-based game, especially on a massive world boss? So multiplayer will work. Essentially, everybody will get like 15 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, whatever it is per turn, and or just an allotted number of time per fight. So maybe you get 5 minutes. Each player gets 5 minutes in the fight, and you can use however much you want for each of the turns, basically. And so both players will choose their actions. When they both have commit them, the actions will then all go across, do whatever ordering they need. Effects will apply. It'll go to the next turn. Both players choose. The same thing happens. In terms of fighting like a massive world boss, everybody gets like 20 seconds or whatever it is. All of those people's things attack the world boss, and the world boss hits everybody, would be the thoughts on that. Is there a giant whiteboard or wall covered in Post-it somewhere in your house that only has the entirety of LlamaRPG sketched out? That's in like 50 notebooks, honestly. How much money do you have to spend on microtransactions to become the best LlamaRPG player in the world? You can definitely give me a few $1,000s and I'll, make sure that you are on some leaderboard of donated the most money or something. Do you have an ice spell? Yeah, there'll be ice spells. Will I be able to Ice Blast my enemies to the past? Definitely. Ice Blast to the past. Bitter Player's Mastery class. Will there be... Why is this... No, quit it. Meta builds or multiple different builds be viable? I think both will exist. What other game would you stream or play if it wasn't Diablo? LlamaRPG. So controversial. Yeah, and I'm in the climate change piece. Sorry. For the network library, are you using something already built or are you developing your own protocol? Too complicated for me to answer. Ask the network guy. Ask Warren. No, I I don't know what Godot exactly has in regards to all of that, which is something that is a question. The general idea overall is the network piece is big. What I want from the network is I want it to have high integrity, right? But from a responsiveness aspect, it doesn't have to be actually quite as good because it's not an ARPG. We're not having people hitting at the same time and moving around and avoiding and dodging. So the net code, there isn't this like need for all of that. You can have 200 ping, and in a turn-based combat, it doesn't matter. But I still wonder what is going to be just overall for the network to have good integrity, good cross-play in that regard, and potentially, I don't know, just whatever, and through Steam, how will it interact? I don't know. Like I say, that's kind of outside of my wheelhouse for what I'm doing with it. Is mobility going to be the strongest thing? I don't think so, but mobility is going to be a piece of it. Being able to attack faster will be give you some slight advantage there. And then potentially like evasion and stuff to get away. How about synergies? Each hit an enemy with water, making them vulnerable to lightning. That is a synergy, yes. So if you douse somebody or hit an enemy with water, they then will take increased lightning damage but decrease fire damage. So there are synergies in that capacity. Maybe in PvP, like counters. Tank counters assassin, assassin counters mage. Yeah, there's not really any counter in that way, but we'll just see how people play out. I mean, I'm sure there ultimately will be in some meta where it's like, yeah, when people, build like this, it kind of counters in this way. Is it like Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy where characters have a speed bar? No. It's like Mario RPG. Everybody takes a turn, but not even like Mario RPG, like in an exact order. It is essentially both players commit. Whoever has the highest attack speed goes first. That player sends their actions out. Well, but first he does a spell, then player 2 does a spell, then player 1 sends his attacks over. Player 2 blocks and counters whatever and sends that back. Player 2 sends his attacks over. Player 1 blocks and counters and sends that back, and then all effects apply. That's kind of the combat system. That multiplayer sounds tedious, so much downtime. I mean, again, the thought will probably be different amounts of time that you could have or want within it, blah, blah, blah. So I imagine, I'm thinking honestly kind of like a chess game a little bit. You could do a 2-minute match, you could do a 3-minute match, you could do a 5-minute match, whatever it is. Or again, there's just each player gets 10 seconds or 15 seconds per turn to think about what skills, items, things they want to use. All of that will be balanced out and figured out. But the idea is when you're doing a PvP battle against someone, you want a little bit of time to think about what move you want to do. But you don't want to spend 5 minutes probably on it, Any existing documentation we can look at regarding this game? I mean, I have a lot of different documentation all over the place. I don't know how much of it is currently public and all of that, but I've gone through various pieces. Like I say, LlamaRPG.com has some information, and then I did a video on my YouTube. I'll put that on LlamaRPG.com soon, where I go through like the crafting system. Will there be a focus on speed farming enemies at some point in the game for gearing / money making? Yeah, there will definitely be a way to kind of one tap, go in and counter mob, one tap it and move on. And that is a piece that, let me show you really fast. Let's see if I have this YouTube video. And ignore the UI currently for it. This is very basic UI. But there is some look at, for instance, here. So your llama goes and boom, you're in battle right there, right? And so that's kind of a thought, is that you're in battle. You'll have some presets as well that you can choose for your character, so you don't have to pick the 3 actions every single time. You have your presets, boom, you attack, you kill, you loot, and you move on. and it should be a pretty quick interaction as opposed to loading into a battle and doing all this stuff. So that's kind of something. Will I have a mechanism to gather player feedback? Oh, for sure. Most definitely. Will there be secret areas or collectibles? Yeah, I want there to be a lot of collectibles and secret areas and fun puzzles. Do I have a showable level I can play out? Not currently, but hopefully soon. Will there be time gating? Certain things you can only do once a day or once a week. I really dislike time gating, but I do actually think I might have a couple things with time gating. For instance, there may be a hat that you can only get on Christmas Day when you go and talk to Santa or something, you know? So I kind of love the ideas of like having little holiday events and then having collectibles or pieces that only come during those times. I think it's really fun. But overall, I do kind of, it's like I love it, but I also hate it. So I'm not exactly certain how much I'll have with all that stuff. I was also considering potentially doing things like, if you save this cat once a day, he coughs a hairball up, and you can go like look in this hairball for some sort of treasure or something. But again, I don't know if that becomes too much like dailies that are just tedious. You go around, do all that. And so I'm not 100% certain on it. Probably not for some of that. You'll have to find out, Harvey. I hope Blue isn't failing gathering and mining stuff. Yeah. I was thinking of turn cycling, given someone a chance to get multiple turns before the enemy. Yeah, there won't be turn cycling. It's more, here's some might and magic. Do I still play StarCraft? Yeah, a little bit here and there. Any goals for when you'll have some sort of beta? I'd love to have a beta in 3 to 6 months that at least has some capacity to it. Will the quests or objectives need to be accomplished in a certain order, or will we have the choice to do them in a random order? Probably in a certain order is the thought for the main story.
Can you find a much more attractive and more successful llama and convince them
presets
to
in the
take
form of
care
an
of you
auto
and buy you
battler?
things and somehow
No,
have
it
them
won't
think
be an
you are
auto
cool?
battler, but it'll be presets that you could build out for potentially just like combos, right? So let's say I know that I have this cold sword I love attacking with. I have this ranged, or I have this cold sword I love attacking with, this shield that blocks these things, and this spell that boosts cold damage, and it's a nice combo set. Rather than going in and select melee attack, cold sword, select this shield, select this spell, attack, I just enter the battle and I click my cold setup. Boom. It fills those 3 in, then I press attack. Okay, now I press my fire setup. Now I press my shield setup. Now I press my resting setup. Whatever it is, just some certain setups that people can generate themselves so that they can have that. Seasonal events are not really time-gated content. Okay. You said your chance to land was glancing bow to accurate hit. Is this based off your accuracy? Yes. Well, the opposite of accuracy basically be armor. There is evasion. Will attacks have accuracy, even magic like a fireball, or would that be an HP resistance check? That's going to be more HP resistance check. So I think it will generally be more along those lines. But I am considering having spells also go through an accuracy check as well. So maybe your fireball only glances as opposed to hitting completely. But essentially, yes, there is accuracy and evasion. Evasion is going to be different from armor. But yeah, evasion is going to be used versus accuracy and a formula to determine that hit. As llama in this game, can you find a much more attractive and more successful llama and convince them to take care of you and buy you things and somehow have them think you are cool? That kind of exists in the game in a way, but in a different way. Are you looking at any hidden Easter eggs relating to chat or your journey as a streamer? Yeah, there's tons. There's going to be Easter eggs for that stuff as well. And looks like there we have gotten to the bottom of the questions. Are there any further questions here? If not, we can end it here. LlamaRPG.com, yeah. We can end the Q&A right here, but hopefully that gives a little stuff. Microtransactions. The thought will be for monetization, you'll buy the game, probably like $9.99 or something. You'll buy the game, then you will get all the content in the game. If you would want to purchase potentially a cosmetic, it would be something that could be found in the game. So you could go and find a black cloak cosmetic that you could wear, or you could purchase it for $1 or something. But I'm not even sure if I want to do that. I might just... I'm not certain on that piece yet. The other piece would be a leaderboard for essentially people who have donated most to the game. And the way you donate to the game is you go and fight a boss, but the only thing that hurts the boss is money. So you have to throw money at the boss to kill him. And you get a sense of accomplishment and whatever from beating him. He doesn't drop any items. He doesn't give you any experience. He doesn't give you any gold. Nothing in the game. All he gives you is pride and accomplishment. And whoever's beaten him the most gets on the board for most kills of the money boss or whatever. Yeah, the pay to wins or pay to win or whatever it is. We haven't determined exactly. So, yeah. Will there be housing where you could show items you have? Yes, I do want to have some place to show off things that you've collected. You'll also have an individual kind of shop. So when people are looking on, the trade market, whatever it is, they can find your shop, look in your shop, and see all that stuff. I'm mostly just hoping a lot of thought goes into item effects that will serve the turn-based nature well. Sounds with the 3-action system and the vulnerability thing, like each character might end up being quite versatile, so I imagine a lot of effects could be thought up. Yes. Yeah. There's definitely a variety of those. If I bring up... Let me go to my drive really fast. Where's LlamaRPG at? Technical documents. So you can overheat, you can burn, you can douse, you can freeze, you can poison, you can stun, you can bleed, you can stagger, and you can pierce. I believe those are all the different effects that can happen. And then there's different ways to mitigate all those things happening or increase or whatever it is. And of course, having those pieces, gives you ways to try and focus on, abusing or comboing or anything like that. Yeah, exactly. And maybe some emotional damage as well. Will there be any healing in the game, either from potions or spells or perhaps a vendor? Yes, all three. There will be potions. You're going to have kind of a really limited potion inventory. So you can use healing potions, mana potions, stamina potions, or fatigue potions, whatever it is. You can... so you'll have that. You can heal from just going to town, talking to a healer, or there's certain spells that you can get that'll do some healing. Any achievements, trophies planned? Yeah, like I say, the hats are kind of a little bit of that, but I do want there to be further collectible. I don't know if I really love the achievement system, the way that a lot of games do it, because it feels so... click and click and click and click. You're just kind of constant in all of that garbage. I don't want you to be constant in garbage, essentially. I want the game to be fun, not you just feeling like you have to click 1,000 things like all the mobile games nowadays. So there's no achievement, you hit level 2. Achievement, you hit level 3. Achievement, you killed 10 boars. Achievement, you looked inside your trophies room. I don't want to have all that garbage. If there's some achievements, it'll be big things that you really have to go out there and go after, and it'll take a lot of time. But you won't get like, oh, this gives you this reward and all of this every single time you do it. I don't want to introduce all that crap. That feels too mobile game. Will there be controller support? I'd like to bring it to console and then introduce controller support probably later on. Probably a game that could have that, I would imagine. At the start, though, it'll probably be just keyboard and mouse. Can look to build in controller. Yeah, something that you actually have to achieve, not something that you accidentally just achieved. Or just achieved by just generally playing in basic ways. Can you eat food that buffs you? I don't think I have any... I did have some thoughts of some like elixir system in a way like that. It may just be in the potions. So there may just be, you get a potion and that is a strength potion and it gives you 5 additional strength, but you can only have 1 active, whatever it is, blah, blah, blah. Just some temporary things that you could move around. I do like those ideas for stuff. Cal level or other secret zones. There are going to be some secret zones in the game, yes. Perfect. All right. I'm going to end the Llama Live Q&A here. Thank you guys for listening. I don't have anywhere I'm selling it or anything at the moment, but just wanted to do a Q&A because, hey, we saw the D4 Q&A. So hopefully it was enjoyable to you guys.